Hello and welcome to WaveTalkers Live. I'm Chris Mattia. My call sign is Whiskey 6 Alpha Hotel. And I'm joined once again by my esteemed colleagues, David, KK6DA, Dave, W0DHG, and Dan, NR6V. And today is the about once a quarter or so, every 10 episodes, coffee bar episode that we do, where we take your questions and we try to answer them. We try and point you in the right direction. Dumb looks are free, and we'll just do our best and have a good time. So if you have a question for us, then you can go directly to the WaveTalkers website, and there's a link right there at the top of the page for a Google form. You can also go directly to it by going to cq.wavetalkers.com/coffee bar. And it's a really quick little form, and your question will get added into the queue for us to try and answer today. That brings us over to the weekly check-in. So let me do the whole like unpin myself and repin myself thing real quickly. So let's see, remove the spotlight, and then we'll just add that right back in and replace it. So there you go. So if you have access to Winlink and you would like to send in a check-in, we're going to map those at the end of the episode. Send your check-in to all four of us. Our call signs were KK6DA, W0DHG, NR6V, W6AH, and our tactical call sign is WaveTalkers. It gives you a little practice of sending a Winlink check-in to multiple people and to a tactical call sign. In the comment section of the Winlink check-in form, our question for the day is, have you tried VAR AC? And we'll do a little micro demo of that today, just to kind of get you started a little bit with this. And we really are going to encourage you to install it and give it a try this week. So in an upcoming episode, we can play a little bit more with VAR AC and test it out for some MCOM use. But before we go any further, let us just quickly jump over to the PC, and let's walk through that process of sending in a check-in. Just as a quick review, so all you need to do is make sure you've got Winlink up and running. You come over here to the new message button. Go ahead and click on that. It'll bring up your new message. And right here at the top, you want to click on the select template button. Hit on that, and it'll say template manager with this little window. You click the little plus next to standard templates, and it springs open a whole bunch of options. Today, let's go into, let's go into general forms. There's two places this form is located. It's both in general and it's in the mapping form. But we'll go into general. Go ahead and give that a click. Down near the bottom of that listing, you'll see Winlink check-in.txt. Just go ahead and give that a double click. If the demo gods are with you, then it should open up your browser of choice. You can come in here and just go ahead and fill this information out. Check this out, that the Winlink development team did this. For date and time, just go ahead and click on that, and it pulls the exact date and time directly from your computer to go ahead and fill that in. Those guys are just amazing. They do all of this stuff for us. So here's the select status. This is going to be an exercise. Go ahead and tell us what band you're connecting on. Use NA if you're using the interwebs to send that in via Telnet, like I will. For the send to, this is where you put in all of our call signs. Just separate those with a semicolon. KK6DA, W0DHG, NR6V, W6AH, and WaveTalkers. Put your call sign in, your name, the station call sign. That's, again, your call sign. Here's your location information. You go ahead and plug that in. And make sure that your latitude and longitude information is plugged in here so that you will show up on the map. Here's the comment section for you to go ahead and fill in your comments. And then when you hit return, when you hit submit, something new is going to happen. And this was a feature that was added just a couple of weeks ago. A little pull down will show up, and it will give you a chance to give a custom subject name if you would like to this form. You can either change it, put something like WaveTalkers check-in in the title. Not necessary, though. You can just leave the default on there. And what should happen if the demo gods are with you is that you should end up having your message filled in with all the information. You go ahead and just post that to your outbox, and then open your session just like you normally would, send and receive. I'll open a quick session here, hit start, and see if we've got any check-ins coming in. And of course, it looks like we do. Look at that. Check-ins coming in. That is awesome. So we'll go ahead and download those. While those are coming in, let me jump back over to the slides. And I want to do one more quick little review, because we issued a challenge a couple of weeks ago to send us a Winlink check-in while operating portable, and we did have a deadline on there, but deadlines are meant to be moved, and a lot of people have sent in some check-ins since then. And we did get one more check-in that did come in with a picture on it, and that is a KI7MKQ. And they are operating my new favorite way to operate, and they called it operating pizza portable, and they even added their little pizza right there inside. So I know one of the questions that already came in saying, still hungry, need pizza, and there we go, pizza today, courtesy of KI7MKQ. There's your weekly pizza. Perfect. All right, so with that, we are going to dive into the questions that have come in. So I'm going to go ahead and let me just bring the colleagues back up onto screen, and we're going to just start kind of cranking through some of these questions that we have that have already come in. So it just takes me a second to get everybody's pins back in here. There we go. Add spotlights back in. And I'm just going to, let's see, come back over to there and then transmogrify myself back up. Oops, I guess I want to go to that screen. That's the booth. There we go. All right. Let's see what has come in on the questions thus far. Where did my screen go that has all the questions in it? There it is. The first one that came in, Logan KD6LLB, sent in a question saying, I'm able to connect to VARA HF gateways on 30, 20, and 17 meters, but I'm not able to connect on gateways on 40 meters. In each case, I can hear my transmission on various web SDRs, and while I don't speak VARA fluently, neither do we, what I'm able to hear on the web SDRs sounds like a good VARA to me. Any troubleshooting suggestions will be greatly appreciated. Thanks for the question, Logan. A couple things come to mind. First of all is time of day that you're operating and your antenna. Typically right around 30 meters or so. Below 30 meters, those are definitely the nighttime bands. They work better in the evenings and at night, and the upper bands are much more for daytime bands. It's definitely some propagation things that you can do there. So it may just simply be that. I actually have a really hard time with 40 meters myself. I end up with a lot of RFI interference from various things, either in the house, and also I live pretty close to some power lines that are causing some problems for me. So I actually have a really difficult time with 40 meters. I always have for some reason. But one of the things that you can try to do is to check and see, are you being heard on 40 meters? And that leads us to that whole VARA AC thing. So let me do a quick demo of what we're playing with. And we really want to encourage everyone to download this tool and play around with it and check and see. So let me quickly pull myself off and re-spotlight myself so you guys are able to see my screen. There we go. And I'll switch over to the walk up and move myself into the corner. So here in the booth right now, I've got my ICOM 7300. I'll turn the volume up just a little bit so you can hear that it's actually running here in the booth. And VARA AC, let me start with the browser window. This is a real-time chat program, and you can get to it by going to var VaraC or VaraAC-hamradio.com. It's a free download. And what this does is it uses the Vara tools that we're all using already with Winlink, but it does keyboard to keyboard chat conversation. So you can go on and download it, varac-hamradio.com, and download the file, and just you install it like you would any other application on your PC. Then this is what it looks like once you get it installed. When you first launch it, it'll ask you for your call sign and a couple of little common bits of information to be able to fill out where your Vara installation is located. You set the link for that. We'll go into more detail in a later video for it. But a couple of really nice things that can help you kind of test and probe your propagation is built into here. So you can see over here on the left-hand side, I've got this button here that's blinking, and it says next beacon, and it's got a little countdown timer. So mine just sent a beacon. I'll turn that off by clicking on it, and I'm going to send a beacon. Now, what this is doing is VaraAC is connected to my radio, and it's going to send out basically a ping. It's going to send out a little message saying, "Hey, W6AH is on the air, and can you hear him?" And anybody who can hear me, a lot of them will then automatically report up to PSK Reporter, and lots of people will send out ping. So it looks something like this when you do it. I'll click on it. It's going to send the next beacon soon. I'll turn the volume up so you can hear what it sounds like. I don't have my other camera to look over the shoulder today, but hopefully you'll be able to hear it. That's some traffic coming in. But we should hear my my radio kick over and start transmitting here in a second, and you'll be able to see it is doing this with Vara HF. There it goes. So it's transmitting right now. It's just putting out a small little beacon on this frequency. So there's that. And of course, somebody's trying to like ping me now. So wonderful, because this is what you do when you're live, right? So there's some traffic coming in there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn the volume down here. After you've sent out some pings, these are some communications. These are other beacons that I've heard already, that my radio has heard while it's been here operating. I've got my last heard CQ calls. So if somebody has called CQ and my radio goes ahead and hears those, it'll automatically go ahead and grab those, so we'll be able to hear them. But over here on the right-hand side, see this button over here, PSK Reporter /map. So after you've put out some beacons, you can click on that, and what it does is it automatically opens your web browser, and it takes you to PSK Reporter. Now, it will default to some slightly different settings. As we saw in the episode where we did the PSK Reporter, if you go up here to display options, I turn off, or I check the boxes for hide the faint monitors, these first three items. I just hide those, and it shows then just the stations that that are hearing you and that you're hearing as well. So I'll hit the go button here, and it'll do a quick refresh. But what this is doing now is, remember a few weeks ago, we used FT8 in order to do this, or we could check propagation. Are we getting out on a particular band, say the 40-meter band or the 20-meter band? And this is who's hearing you. What's nice about VaraAC is it's using the Vara protocol. So this really is stations that are hearing me using the same protocol that I would be using to send Winlink traffic in order to connect to gateways in that area. And so I can see pretty clearly where my skip zone is. So if I'm looking at this right now, no stations here in this area or my skip zone are hearing me at this point. So you may want to look for an area. If I zoom in here on the map just a little bit, like for me, I would probably want to look for a gateway on HF that's over in this area where I'm hearing them and they're hearing me on that pin. So it's a really nice, quick way to kind of start to zero in on where your VARA connections may be. There's a lot of other cool things that you can do with VARA AC. You can do, obviously, real-time keyboard-to-keyboard chat. Let me actually minimize the browser here. You can do real-time keyboard-to-keyboard chat here. You can send files back and forth via HF, one-to-one. There's also like an email or a Vmail system where if you've got somebody who's online, you can send a message and it will store on their system for them when they come back. So lots of cool stuff to play with. I don't want to go into too much more detail on this right now. It's something that we're all playing with right now, and we really encourage everyone else to get in and play with that. So back to kind of Logan's question for what he actually called in on, it may be something for you to try. Go ahead and install VARAC and go to the 40-meter band. In the upper right corner, you can just select which band you want to operate on and send out some pings and check and see, are you being heard? Are you getting out? For 40 meters, you also obviously want to check the time of day. If you're having trouble connecting with that, then make sure you're getting, make sure you're using the right bands for the right time of day.
John AC6VV said he's having trouble getting into the VARAC website. So we may have crashed it.
That would be fun.
The WaveTalkers strike again.
Yeah, right. All right, let me bring everybody back up. Let's see. Next questions. There was one, David, you were going to take on a question that had come in, I think via email. Yeah, Dave, you had the question that came in from, I believe this is N7 RGS. He says, I got 3 questions this afternoon. Do you have those up?
That was about how to get the pizza, right?
Yeah, I think this is the pizza.
I have them. Yeah, I've got them.
Okay.
So there are 3 questions in there, and maybe we'll handle 2 of them. We'll talk about 3 anyways.
Sure.
The second one I'm going to start with first because that's the way I roll. And Dave asks, the trouble I have switching between types of packet TNCs, for example, I have a PC3 Plus and use HZ7HO sound card. I think that the TNC mode set is in the Winlink Express INI file, and the only time I have a problem with it was when I moved my laptop to a different TNC, for example, from a DRA 50 board to a Kenwood to another radio and whatever. And are there any ideas short of editing the INI file? And actually, this took me back to my tech support days from 20 plus years ago, and it wasn't TNCs, but it was hardware that was coded to an INI file specifically. And the folks that went from office to office that needed to access the specialized equipment had very similar problems to what you described in your note. And we tried a bunch of things. We tried, sub information in the INI files, and it just didn't make it work. And the best thing that we could figure out what to do was to create 2 copies of the INI file. There's the INI file and INI file 2. And when you knew you were at a location that had the other one, you'd go rename the file and restart your computer. And once you did that, you had the INI file for the right set of hardware. You just have to identify, where you're going to be and which is the right INI file for the specific piece of hardware. That's the only way we could do it. And eventually we wrote like a batch script on the desktop so you could click it and it would rename the old one and copy the new one. But as far as that, I think Chris, you encountered this when you went up to CESP and Piedra Blanca, where you had a problem between some radios.
Yeah. So the problem that I ran into, and I really haven't tracked it down, is it something that's related just to the Microsoft Surface Go 3, because I've got the 3 instead of the 2, which David and a few others use. And as part of the Microsoft Surface 3, it's also running Windows 11. So I'm not positive if this is a Windows problem, if it's a Surface problem, or if it's something related to Winlink. But your question reminded me of this. So when I headed out there, I had been operating with my Surface connected to my ICOM 7300. And the 7300 registered as, I don't know, COM port 7 or something like that. And so when I got out to the location and I brought up Vara to try and connect using my ICOM 705, the 705 had chosen to use a different COM port. It was actually on, I think, COM port 4. And I could not change it. There was absolutely no way for me to change the COM port, because when I would click on Vara, or open the Vara mode, it would launch the connect window, and it would say, "Oh, I'm sorry, that COM port is unavailable," and it would close and try and reconnect again instantly, and it was just stuck in a loop. I tried quitting Winlink. I tried rebooting the entire tablet. Luckily, one of the things that I have on the Surface is I keep a folder that I have all of my software installs for all the different ham radio applications that I use for emergency communications, just in case something, in case you need to reinstall something or move something to another computer. And so I ended up out in the field just doing a complete reinstall of Winlink very quickly. And then I was able to just reset up and relink to the correct COM port at that time. And it ended up working for me in the field, but it did do that. It remembered some other previous settings. We have talked to the Winlink development team. They haven't been able to replicate it, which kind of leads me to think that it's something related to maybe Windows 11 or the specific hardware that I was running. But it sounds like your question is kind of similar. So I know one of the feature requests that I would love to see is some like radio profiles inside of Winlink. I think that would be a really great thing where we could say, okay, hey, have a selector and say, this is the radio I'm using, and have a set of profiles that it would adjust.
Yeah, that would definitely be more elegant than renaming INI files. Yeah. All right. Well, so back to question number 1. I'm going to share my screen for this one. If I can figure out which screen to share. Can you see me now?
Yep.
Yeah, there it is.
All right. The other question that Dave asked was that he tried to resize a photo and set it to 5K, and then he kind of had a freeze up and tried again, and 10 worked, and so on and so forth, and wondered if anybody else had that problem. So, of course, being right before the show and having little possibility that this was going to work, I emailed him saying, "Send me the file." And what do you know? It's not the pizza. He sent me the file. This is the file. But of course, pizza had to make an appearance today. So let's just try it out and see if we have the same experience. And let's go through again how attachments work and how you can adjust attachments so that they're small enough to send via Winlink. So I'm going to go ahead and say this is a test and hello world, right? Because that's what we do. And we're going to look at attachments, and we'll add an attachment. And I'm going to look at my desktop in the WaveTalkers folder. And I'm really tempted to pick the pizza, but this is Dave's actual file. And yes, it's bigger than we want it to be. And that's okay. That's why there is an option here to go ahead and select edit and resize the image. And I'm going to try that. And let's see, let's rotate it to the right, because I think it's sideways. That looks better. Look, some antennas on the roof there. And yes, this is considerably bigger than we want to send. So let's try to resize. And what Dave said was the problem size he saw. We'll say change size. Looks like it worked. We'll save the changes. And
Yeah.
we'll say finish. It looks like it worked.
Perfect.
I gotta pull Dave's call sign out of the email. What was it? Chris, you have it open. That's N7.
Let me find it real quick.
You're no help.
I've got
Just
it.
kidding.
It's,
Romeo Golf Sierra.
and 7 Romeo Golf Sierra. Good job.
Okay, and I might as well send it to you guys too, because you want to get this.
Definitely.
Because, you know. And R6V. And you know what? Since I'm actually feeling really kind of hungry today. And look, that one's too big too. So let's not that one. Let's I'm gonna send you pizza, but I'm gonna make it a small one just because. Oops, I didn't do that right. Hit the wrong one. You gotta slow down there, Goldenberg. Save the size, save it, save the changes. It's a little pizza, but it's a pizza. We'll post it to the outbox and send it on its merry way. Oh, look, I got incoming. There's a surprise. Okay. And then let me roll back. I don't remember, the other question was one that I might have needed some extra help with. And that last one was the default folder for saved data seems to be different than the default. Okay, this one didn't make as much sense to me. So let's turn it back to Chris and show me that pizza I just sent you.
Oh yeah. All right. So let me switch over to the to this. I'll jump down into the corner. Let me do the unpin and repin thing again real quick. I wish there was a button to be able to save that so that it would be faster, especially with 4 people. Replace spotlight. Boom. Okay, so here we go. I've got my screen up. I will go ahead and do a quick check of messages. And look at that. I've got a message that came in from W0DHG, winlink.org. This is a test. I'm going to download that message. Scroll up to the top here. Click on that. It says hello world. I can see there's an attachment, so I'm just going to click on that, and it opens up. There's 2 attachments. There's
attachments.
2437.jpg, and that is set to 5 kilobytes. And then numero uno JPEG. So let's start with this one. We'll open that up. Just give it a double click, and it's right there. It's a little small.
It's small.
It's but it's viewable, and we can see it looks like there's an antenna there and some stuff on that screen there.
I think there's 2 antennas there.
And then let's open up the numero uno JPEG. Wow, is that tiny?
Too.
That's a small piece. There's a small piece.
It's smaller than a piece of pepperoni.
It's smaller than a piece of pepperoni. All right, so there you go. Hopefully that that helps. And while we're here, Bob in the chat asked about, is it legal when we were talking about the VARA AC, is it legal with respect to FCC rules of not using encryption with the VARA AC chat, sending files, sending keyboard to keyboard text messages? Absolutely, because anybody can decode all this information. In fact, this is something that Dan taught me literally just this morning. I had completely not noticed this. Let me bring up the VARA AC again real quick. You can see that it's still kind of running here in the background. But if you bring up your VARA window, and right here at the top is one of these hidden features. Remember last week we talked about all these hidden features that are hidden in plain sight, one of which is monitor. And I've never really clicked on this because I didn't really know what it would do. But you click on that drop down and you say on. And so when your VARA is in receive mode, if any traffic comes in that you can hear, it will automatically decode that message and that content even if it's not directed at you, and you can see the stream of data that's going through. You can see all of that text. And again, you do not have to have a license for Vara for this to work. You can just download and install the free version. So it isn't, in fact, not encrypted. It's just converted from voice to digital. So there you go. There's a quick little thing. I was kind of hoping that some traffic would kind of pass by. I believe the same feature is in Vara FM as well, isn't it? Dan, do you know?
I'm trying to think.
Bring up Vara FM. I don't have a.
No, I don't think it does in FM. Sound modem does.
Sound modem does. Sound modem decodes automatically all your traffic.
But it's a nice feature to be able to see, whose messages you're hearing. And
in FM there's no monitor button. Basically what you can see in FM is the connection log at the bottom and the status.
Right.
Dan's connecting to me, or I'm connecting to this, or it's going through this gateway, or hopping through you can't see much more than that.
Right.
Also,
it's not encrypted. It's just they don't have the decoder in the tool.
Right. As long as the decoder is available. Plus, I think with Winlink, it's been a while, but I think they publish
you can
all
go
messages.
You can go in there and read every message if you want. It's all there.
Right. Let's see. A question came in from K7HUH. I said, how do you edit the favorites and the shortcuts and the templates? How do you edit those things? Let's go ahead and let's check that out a little bit. Remove and replace real quick. So if I close,
is he asking how to make a shortcut?
I think so.
There's lots of different places you can make shortcuts. You can make shortcuts for messages. You can make shortcuts for gateways you want to reach. You can make lots of shortcuts. So which shortcut, and if you're in, raise your hand or type it in the chat and let us know. Do you want to know about the gateway shortcut or the message form shortcut? That would help to understand.
Yeah,
it just occurred to me as you were saying that. I'm like, which one?
There are quite a few shortcuts. Let's look at a couple of the common ones. So since I have an HF rig attached here, I'll go to Vara HF and just open the mode button. And the shortcuts are something that are or favorites, because it does mention favorites in here. Yeah, how to edit the favorites tab. So as you bring up each of these different modes, the RF modes, you'll have here on this line here that'll say favorites, and you can click the little drop down menu here, and these are the favorites that I have saved. Now, what I've been doing and is going up to the channel selection tool, checking the channels that are available, and let's see.
Oh, not a good day.
Not a good day, yeah. And I'll actually start at the top when I've got some free time in my plethora of free time, and I'll go through and I'll just double click. So here's Orv W6BI. I would just go ahead and double click on Orv, and it loads his information. It controls my radio and changes the radio over to the right frequency. And I'll go ahead and start and see if I can make a connection. And I just kind of work my way down through the list. And as I find people that I can connect to on a regular basis and very reliably, I will then go in and I'll just have them selected here and just click the button that says add to favorites. And what it'll do is it'll pop up a little screen that says, hey, do you want to add Orv or W6BI at this frequency? So this is his 80 meter gateway to my favorites. Now, why that's important is because once you know a couple of stations that you can reliably get to, if you get deployed doing emergency communications, you're more than likely not going to be at your home QTH. You're more than likely not going to have access to the internet to update all of the tables to know who you can connect to, which gateways you can get to. And so it's a really good idea to have a set of common favorites for each band that you operate for your different antennas. and save those in here so that when you do get deployed, you're not starting from zero. You're able to just go in here and say, so for instance, I know this KD5 REJ on 17 meters, that's pretty much my go-to station. I know I can hit them on 17 meters from pretty much any location in Southern California pretty reliably with the antennas that I have that I operate with. So all you need is really one station that you can reliably hit. Time of day, you want to have several of them on here in order to make sure that you can get. So if you've got daytime bands, nighttime bands, and so forth. As far as how to edit the list is of your favorites. You just access by clicking the drop down here. You can edit them by, let's say this Orv W6BI, his 80 meter. I'll just go ahead and select on him. Now, that's actually one that I know I can't get to. I know I can't. He's actually just on the other side of a ridge from me, and NVIS tends to not work to his location from mine. And so it's not going to be really helpful for me to have that favorite saved in here for me. So I can select the favorite here and then hit the remove from favorites button. And it's going to say, do you want to remove Orv? And yeah, I'll go ahead and remove Orv from my favorites. So that's definitely one of the locations that you would want to do this for, to bring that in. And along with that comment, this whole deal about VAR AC really came in from a comment that came in from November 7 Golf Echo Tango, sent us a presentation idea, and they laid out in this email that they sent into us of, hey, this is how I'm doing this. And they talked about using VAR AC, which I described a little while ago, and then stepping through this process of using the antennas that they're using to generate their favorites using the modes that they're using, and exactly why you're doing that. So excellent idea there. We probably will step through doing that all in a full-on session one of these times, to go into that in a lot more detail. Any other thoughts, comments, concerns on that one?
Chris, if you're done with that one, Greg has sent us all an email. If you want to look for the email SJT, he has some very good advice from Phil on the most recent beta release and how it relates to sizing images. You want to find that and bring it up? And
You want to just walk through it while I'm going through that?
Yeah.
You want to start reading it on your end? I'll start looking for it here.
Well, I can share my screen too.
Yeah, share your screen. Go ahead.
All right. This may not be sized correctly, but Greg, who is watching, one of the Winlink development team members, has reminded us that Phil Sherritt has sent out Winlink beta version 1.6.6.1. Now, all of you may not be on that list. You can be if you want. Beta releases are known to have issues, but we test them out. And look at this. Fix problems cropping or resizing very large, multiple megabyte picture attachments. Images up to 40 megabytes may be attached, but they have to be resized to less than 120. So that's very interesting. That may be the problem that our question asker was running into. It was a very, very large file. So they're aware of that and they're addressing that.
And I did the demo that I did on 1661. So
yeah. You can, if you're interested in participating in the beta program, it's on your settings page. Click you want to accept beta updates, and you'll get the emails as they come out. 1.6.6.1 came out I think Wednesday or Thursday.
Nice. Excellent. Let me add everybody back in, and I see that we got a question in from Bill in Hawaii. Aloha. Kilo Hotel 6 uniform. Bill says, when I upgrade my VHF RMS gateway radio, to one that does 9600 baud, any add or change to the VHF radio, what are the requirements to inform winlink.org?
I got this.
Go ahead. What you got, Dave?
So you guys see my screen, right?
Yep.
Yes, we can.
The cool part about doing this is you don't have to tell them on your gateway, and you're looking at one of my several gateways. In the gateways, you'll go into your settings, and you have to do this in two spots. You go in your settings and start with the packet channels, pull up the settings for the packet channels. And obviously here you're going to set your TNC to the 9600, but you're also going to go in here and tell it that on the air baud rate will be 9600. And then you update the channel. And when you update the channel, it'll push that out there. So when it's listed on the finder in Vara, or not in Vara, in Winlink, it'll show you that station is set up for that. Similarly, it was easy for me to say. I gotta wait for this to restart. You will go into your Vara FM settings, also in the RMS packet, and you'll want to make sure that everything's updated here. And the difference here would be telling it whether you're narrow or wide, basically. And you'll want to make a corresponding adjustment, obviously, if you're going to go with the faster setup in your Vara settings on the Vara setup page to tell it also that it's wide. And in Vara, the Vara lingo, wide would be 9600 as opposed to narrow, which would be 1200. Back to you, Chris.
All right. We got a question that came in from Terry from ZL Land. He is ZL1 Hotel Oscar Golf. He says, "G'day. On the Winlink check-in message, can you only put the grid square information in and send the message without entering the lat lon?" He also says a session on building a gateway would be great. Let's talk about the gateway first briefly. Yes, we've gotten several requests to do a more in-depth walkthrough of setting up a gateway. And so we're going to do that. We did a couple of episodes about setting up a gateway, one in particular that was back in March, kind of late March time. I forget what the episode number was, but we did walk through. That's when we set up our solar powered gateway that we took out to Baker to Vegas and operated with out there. So then the other part of his question is, on the Winlink check-in, can you just put in the grid square without entering the lat lon? And I've asked Greg if he wants to jump in on this a little bit, but let me also let me push the ask to unmute for Greg so he can do that. But I'm going to unpin and rinpin myself real quick so we can take a little bit closer look at this aspect of this. So let me do.
So the answer is yes, but it's not going to be as precise as entering longitude and latitude.
Well, that it actually raises a question, and Julian, Oscar Hotel 8, Sierra Tango November, sent a note in also asking about this, asking if there could be an upgrade to the grid square translator to have a longer grid square entered in and have it automatically work with the GPS coordinates. I think currently it only supports a few characters as opposed to a longer, more precise grid square. But where they're talking about is if we go into select a new template, go into standard templates. Earlier we went to general, so what the heck, let's go to mapping, and we'll come down here to the Winlink check-in form. Double click, there we go. And it's down here. So the question is, can you just add in a grid square and will it populate? My understanding is that it's going to point you to the center of the grid square if you put in a grid square information. Is that correct, Greg? I think I sent him a thing to be able to unmute if he's able to.
It picks up your grid square from your settings.
Is it possible to enter in a more detailed grid square and have it narrow down to that location from here? Or
No, the grid square there, you can't even enter it, I don't think. It's
Oh.
just there. It's just there to show you your grid square.
Oh, so you would have to go into the settings page and edit the grid square with more detailed information.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Yep.
That's where I'm picking it up.
Yeah,
Greg,
that's from
is
the
it-
properties page.
Yeah, Greg, does it read it down to the last two characters, or does it just find the grid square in Chris's case, DM04?
I think it just does 2 characters right now.
Yeah, okay.
And
Good to
that's
know.
the center of
It
your-
does
center of your-
do the
could be the center.
it's the center of the
Of the grid square.
full grid square, including the 2 letter digits at the end, because we did an exercise, and I had a couple of people did just that. They didn't enter in their Latin long, and it mapped them to the center of their DM04 RF or whatever it was.
All right. So I think what we'll do is we'll send that in as a feature request to see if maybe there can be use the grid square for a little more detailed information there, if that's possible. So it doesn't sound, Terry, like you're able to enter it in anywhere else other than you're in the settings or in the properties panel for Winlink at this point. All right.
Is there more granularity than DM04
Yeah.
RF?
Yeah, it's as accurate as the GPS and as the MGRS designators.
So there is a checkbox in the GPS position report to automatically update your grid square to the GPS. So Chris, if you back out of that and go to the plus, yours isn't working, but if you click the plus, which is red, there's a link there, and you have it checked, automatically update grid square to GPS location. On mine, I have it populates it, but it does the 6 character grid square.
Right.
So, I'm in DM04QD.
Right. And I just realized now why I'm getting weird results when I'm doing propagation tables, because when we went to the beach about 2 weeks ago and set up and operated, that was the last time I had my GPS active, and so my grid square is wrong.
You're still at Zuma?
I'm still at Zuma. Yeah, I'm still sitting in Zuma, so I will need to go and update that. All right. Well, there we are for that. Let's see. Craig KJ6IJJ has a question. He says, I'm trying to delete Winlink 2K from a computer where the wrong password was used. I uninstalled and rebooted, but if I download and install, it says wrong password. No way to update the password. I believe the problem is not in Winlink in the application. I think you could go onto the website and fix that. Is that right?
I would use the website to verify that you know the right password. And then if you go to login, like I showed last week on how you can check your Winlink mail, that would allow you to log into the winlink.org website, and it'll validate whether you know what the password is or not. If it doesn't let you in, then that's a problem. And then on the page there somewhere, there's a reset your password link.
Do you want to
or
go?
You can send Mike a note.
Do you want to go on the website and show?
Yeah, I could show it. All right. Quick screen share.
Yeah, Craig writes his Winlink password is good on the web and another computer. It's just this one computer.
No,
that isn't.
When
that
you're
isn't-
when you're uninstalling, are you deleting?
Delete the whole
folder and the whole Winlink or the RMS Express folder, and then emptying your trash. Empty the recycle bin. And if that's still giving you a problem after that, try doing the whole turn it off, turn it back on again thing. There might be something that's stuck.
So here's where you can use go to winlink.org and you go to the My Account. put your call sign and what you believe your password is, and log in. If it lets you log in, you're good. If it doesn't, then you can go down here for the recovery, put your call sign in, and then click the send me your password, and they'll help you recover it. Or do a reset. You can use the complete password reset button for that as well.
But on a computer, it's not saved anywhere else than the folder on your C drive, right? I mean, it's not going to save it in an INI file or something like that somewhere else.
You know, when I've had set up previously multiple Winlink installs on one machine, and that created all kinds of grief for me. Where I had downloaded this. I'm not a Windows user primarily. And so I had in the early days of doing this, I had a copy of Winlink installed in my downloads folder. I know, go ahead and yell at me, fine. And I also had it installed on my C drive. And I was running into some weird conflicts periodically where I would, click the open shortcut, and sometimes it was opening the version that was in one folder, and sometimes it was opening a version in a different folder. So check your downloads folder also. Make sure you haven't unzipped that file and installed it possibly there. There could be a couple of other locations where if you've got common places where you've installed software, where you could be getting a conflict from those.
Yeah, it's just not that complex, is it? The installation really takes care of itself.
Yeah.
There aren't hidden files that don't go away when you uninstall. So I don't know.
When we used to do these classes with a lot more hands-on, the issue that I saw the most often was when somebody installed a second instance of Winlink, and then it was like, am I launching this one or I'm launching that one? And you'd make a change and it would write the INI file, and then you'd go try to launch the other one because it would put two icons on the desktop. On a single Winlink installation, you can actually have any number of users. And if you do the single installation and then you go into the settings and register a second user or a third user or a fourth user, there's a pull down right at the top of the Winlink screen that'll allow you to pick which of your identities you're using. That actually works really well, but you have to be really, really, really careful that you only did that one install.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, it could be.
I could demo that if you want to take a look.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right, very good.
Share your screen.
Yeah, I don't use this very often, but I probably will in the future. But there are actually two identities here. You're seeing my screen, yes?
Yes, we are.
All right, here's the one that I use the most. But I also have a shares call. And voila, I have just, what does it say? Registration key, remind me later. I'm not quite fully set up, but this is the other identity. And that's the way I use it. One installation, two identities, and some people really go to town with this. And it is quite helpful if you use this in multiple situations.
Yeah, you can have your tactical call signs in there. If you've got tactical call signs, you can select it and get all of the messages and so forth for that. You can also, if you have a message open, go ahead and share your screen again real quick and open a message. Or create a new message.
Here we go.
There we go. So if you create a new message,
mm-hmm.
You can see right there at the top where it says from. If you've got multiple identities selected, you can click the drop down from any message and you can select the other identities.
Yeah, I must not have the second identity quite set up correctly. It only says one, but I get the idea.
Yeah.
And you got to remember there's a difference between a tactical call and an identity.
Yeah.
Correct. Sue Ellen just asked in the chat how to download Winlink onto a thumb drive. That's a good question. So there's a couple of ways we can answer this. The first is if you're looking for just the installer, so you've got the install on a thumb drive, just go ahead and go to winlink.org, download the installer like you normally would, fresh from the website, And then when you go into your downloads folder, you'll see the zip file. Just copy that zip file and put it on the jump drive. So you're able to carry that installer to another machine. That's kind of simple way of doing this. You could also just, after you've downloaded it, install it on the jump drive. Then you would have to have the jump drive, the little USB stick, installed on the computer that you've got in order to work with those files. But you could work with Winlink directly off of that USB thumb drive, and then that's your copy of Winlink, and you can move it to a different PC as long as you're able to open applications on that other PC from an external USB connected drive. Some systems prevent you from doing that for security reasons, but it does technically work.
Could you just copy your RMS Express folder and drop it onto your thumb drive? Would that work?
I believe it will. I have done that. I have that is one of the backups that I keep. I keep a copy of my RMS folder. I actually keep it up on my my Google Drive, and I'll also keep a copy up on Box periodically, or Dropbox, so that if something were to happen, I could also grab all of my messages. Inside of that RMS folder is your own call sign folder, and that's all your files that are in there. But you would want the entire RMS folder to be able to move that.
And depending on how you've installed VARA and sound modem, those also might have to be brought over.
Right. So here's actually what I do on my Surface. Let me do the whole like remove and re-add real quick. Replace spotlight. So here's my Surface, and I'm gonna go ahead and close Winlink. And right here on my desktop, I keep a folder called Ham Radio. And if I double click that and open it up, I've got ham radio software, and I've also got radio configs. So I use mostly ICOM radios, and so I can download the configuration onto the SD card and just copy that in. So I have all of my radio configs for the various different radios and all of my code plugs that I've done all in one folder. And then in the ham software, if I open that up, I've got folders that are set up here where I have the most recent installer for each of these different applications. So I do have down here's the RMS gateway. So if I needed to move my gateway onto a portable machine, I could do that. RMS Express backup, VARA, and I keep all of the installs for VARA inside of here as well. And if I just go into one of these, you can see that I'm keeping both the zip files in order to have it fully self-contained if I need to move it from one machine to another, but I also have the unzipped version, which it just saves a few seconds if I got to do a quick reinstall. And then this entire directory structure, this whole ham radio folder, I just have a copy of that up on my Google Drive so I can get to it from different machines. I also keep a copy of it on a jump drive. And when I was out in the field, that's what I used in order to do a quick restore. So it's a nice idea to just have a backup of the files that you're using.
Just have to have the discipline to update that folder.
Yeah.
As new versions come out.
We have discovered more than once. I discovered about mine. I think I have 1, 2, 3 machines that run Winlink. And if you're going to put it on a thumb drive, you got to remember these things get updated, especially these days, because the Winlink development team is very busy. It's probably going to get updated at least once every 2 weeks, some way.
I know we're getting close to the top of the hour, but I do want to take a couple of more questions here before we wrap up today. There's one that came in from John Hart, Kilo Echo 6, Foxtrot India, Quebec, and he says, "Can't Winlink buy radio? In the past month, the radio and Signalink showed transmitting and then disconnecting, but the repeater," I'm assuming you're saying the gateway, sent a message back, his call sign -10 to this other call sign, RRCPR 1300R. I tried different repeaters, but I get a message on the computer that it cannot open COM port 5. That sounds very similar to the thing that I was running into as well. I kept getting a message saying can't open, I was getting COM port 7, but COM port 4 was what I was trying to use. The first thing to try there is to verify that the correct COM port is still being seen. I have seen sometimes PCs where if you plug into a different physical USB port, sometimes it'll change the COM port on you for a single device. So let's have a quick look at where you check that COM port inside of Windows. So let's do the little dance again. And if you come down here to the start menu, I'll just turn myself off real quick. You come down here to the start menu and just type in device manager into Windows. It usually comes up, DEV right there. Go ahead and click on that. And then when your device manager comes up, make sure that you have your radio connected. Your signal link is connected via USB. All the connections are being made, and you're oftentimes looking for down here. You're looking for the ports, the COM and LPT. Click that to open it up, and you should be able to see the device that's connected to your computer, and it'll tell you what COM port that it's associated with. And occasionally that will change. When I ran into the problem that I described earlier, I was using a different radio and it was showing as a different COM port. You should be able, if Winlink is locked into remembering one particular COM port, a couple of things that you could do for that. One would be just like shut everything down, and literally shut your computer down. Don't just reboot it, but shut it down and then restart it. And it should re-poll and re-identify the different COM ports if it's having an issue with that. Other tricks that you might want to try, and we'll open it up to you guys as well for other things that you've seen, is because I was changing radios, I actually just, when I finally got the thing to completely work with my previous install of Winlink, I literally brought my Surface back. I plugged in the other radio so that I had both of them plugged in at the same time. All of the COM ports were active at one time. And so then I could go into Winlink and I could change the settings from one COM port to another and change over the radio. This is, again, that it would be really helpful to have some radio specific configs or profiles, I guess, would be a really nice thing.
Be nice to be able to lock a COM port like you do a static IP address in a router, where whenever it sees that whatever MAC address or whatever identification, it always gives it that same port.
Those were the days.
So you used to be able to do that?
Oh, yes. And you had to program the IRQ and the DMAs and all of those. And there were little jumpers on the boards.
Oh,
those were the days.
Is that a be careful what you wish for thing?
Surely a lot more control. And it was actually really awesome for my job security. Understanding those things, but it was there's once you set it, it was done, and it didn't move around. So from that perspective, it was really good. But as you add new hardware, then you had to make sure, like, hey, I know that this one's on this and this one's there and that one's anyways.
Chris, Carolyn has a question. I don't know the answer to it. In the GPS position report, there's a checkbox at the very bottom. Should that be checked?
So that checkbox is, if no GPS position, use position report location as my current location.
Yes.
And
so what does that do, David?
I don't exactly know. I don't have that checked on any of my. I don't have that checked on any of my stations. the one in the house here that's permanent that has a GPS, or the portable laptop one that I carry around that also has a GPS. I don't check that because I always have the GPS location. This
Yeah.
might actually be a really great Greg question if he's still there.
I actually think I have the answer to this.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah, this is something that I spent some time on a call with Mike on. So let me hide you guys up, and we'll point out what this checkbox is, and I'll see if I can mangle an answer for it. So the question is about the GPS position report. I'll just go back into it real quick. What you're going to do is click the little plus here, right here on your toolbar. That'll open up the GPS and position report window. Really slick little window. Now, if you have a GPS connected, I don't have one connected right now. You have the correct COM port selected here, and it will connect up and it'll generate your GPS information located here. And you can say, it will use that information in any of your forms for the GPS coordinates. Pretty helpful. If you have, once you do that and you've got your GPS position information all into here, if you then have this checked, what it'll do is it'll store that. It'll basically cache that GPS location, so you could unplug the little USB GPS from your machine, and it will maintain that information. It's like a cache my GPS location. So if you have a GPS dongle, so like I have one, but I don't use it all the time because I'm oftentimes operating from my shack, and my house is covered in stucco, which means it's got a wire mesh around the whole thing. So I basically live inside of a Faraday cage, which is a lot of fun for doing RF sorts of things. So my GPS doesn't work inside. So in order to get my GPS to get a fix, I have to run a long cable and hang it out the window for a little while until it gets a fix. And I'll oftentimes then come back and check this little box so that my system will remember that location. And I can unplug the GPS. I don't need it connected anymore to use that more accurate information. The challenge is when you operate portable. So if you're taking your radio out portable, you don't want that on if you don't have the GPS dongle plugged in, because it'll remember your home QTH and not where you're operating portable. So that's why I don't leave it checked all the time when I'm operating on my 705 when it does that. So I hope that answers your question, Carolyn. Basically, if you have a GPS and you're able to plug it in, you're not moving around, go ahead and check the box. It should remain there. Let's say you're at an EOC, or you get deployed into the field with some other operators, and you've only got one GPS dongle there amongst you. You could plug that GPS dongle in, do the settings, save the location, unplug it, hand it to the next operator. They could plug it in and get the location information as well. So that is how I understand that to work. Craig says, hey guys, you solved it. There was a straggling RMS file once deleted, a fresh installed worked. Thanks. Awesome. We love that. And on that note, I think we wrap up. If we had a success, if we answered at least one of these questions correct and didn't just point people around, I think we're doing pretty good. So
I need to point something out.
Oh, go ahead.
There's also a GPS position report form, which also has a checkbox at the bottom, but it's totally different. And I don't know which Carolyn was asking about.
Oh,
in the form, it's the checkbox is in the position NATO MGRS box, and it says format with spaces.
You want to share your screen and show what you're looking at?
I can do that. I suspect she's asking about what you brought up, but just for the sake of you can see down here, you've got a checkbox format with spaces. And I assume that in that long string that it's the MGRS location, there are spaces to be added between groups of numbers. So I doubt that's what she was asking about, but just for clarity, I thought I'd point it out.
Nice. I have not used that GPS decimal position report.
Where did you find that form, Dan?
General forms.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. You learned something new on every single one of these episodes.
I think that one of the purposes of this is for doing conversions. It helps you if you need to convert for certain purposes.
Okay.
But anyway, just thought I'd point that out.
There is, by the way, here inside of the little GPS form, by the way, down at the bottom, there's that post report button. And so once you've got your GPS fixed, you can click that post report, and you'll need to do a send and receive. So after you do that, you would come up here and you would do open session and do a little send and receive, which I'll do, which we'll also do as a one more check, so we can do the mapping. We'll pick up a couple of more check-ins that have come in. Download those messages. There we are. And what that'll do is it'll send out a position report. And where that appears is if we open up our browser and we go to winlink.org. If I could type, I'd be dangerous. Winlink.org. There we are. And right here in the toolbar, there's a button that says positions. If you click on that, it's going to bring us up a nice little map that's going to show position reports from people who have submitted those from all over the world. This is really kind of slick here, especially if you come down and you click on some of these locations. So this is Alpha Echo 6 X-Ray Tango. He's somebody that we've shown a couple of times in this. They're on a sailing ship, and if we click on their pin, check that out. It shows you their position reports over time, the ones that they have sent. So this is now showing us the track that this sailboat is taking across the Pacific. And it's a really nice thing. I've been exchanging Winlink messages with this vessel for ever since that show that we did back in, I think it was back in March or April, where we originally showed this. And it's a really nice thing, especially for those of us who are doing emergency communications. Pop onto the map, look for the folks that are crossing the ocean, and send them a short little, real short little Winlink message. Check in on them, see how they're doing, and see what's up. Find out what's happening on their passage. It's a really nice service that we're able to provide to other hams that are out there traipsing around the world. So there you go, position reports, pretty slick. Let's do the numbers, as they say. I'll do one more check here, check and see what other check-ins that we've got that have come in. Doesn't look like any new ones have come in. We've gotten a whole bunch in. So I'm going to click on the little map icon here. I'm going to select my Winlink check-ins. Again, this is just going to show you all of the mappable forms that you have received. I do love seeing that pizza preference, which is the WaveTalkers form, is there. If you would like to send us a pizza preference, you can go onto WaveTalkers. I've got it still listed right on the front page. You can download the custom form. Go check out last week's episode where Dan walked you through how to install that custom form. But
you could actually pull out all the people who like pineapple on their pizza from that.
We are definitely going to use that in an upcoming episode, because the filtering capabilities are really all. Dan, you used that form, if I'm not mistaken, with an ACS exercise, didn't you?
We did this week. I followed up on the last week's session, and I had ACS members download the send SMS form. And then as a bonus, I said, download the pizza form, and didn't have a lot of response to that. I had, I think, 5 or 6 folks sent me their pizza order, but we'll map that and send it out to the group.
That's awesome.
I thought it was fun and people get a kick out of it, but
yeah,
for whatever reason.
Thank you, Greg, for that. It just it keeps on giving.
It really does. It really does. Let's see. So I'm going to go to Winlink check-ins, and I'll hit display map. And let's check the filter, make sure the filter is set correctly. This is going to download only reports for the last 36 hours. Let's shorten that. Let's say just the last 6 hours that have come in. And we'll say
do like 10, because there were some early check-ins this morning because people were off and about, but they wanted to get
chomping at the bit.
They had other plans. They had more important names.
People got stuff going on. That's cool. Let's zoom out. This is the one that I always mess up. You got to hold down the right mouse button and click and drag.
There you go.
There we go.
Oh, you just use 2 fingers on the screen. Oh wait, you can't do that on your computer.
It's all good. It doesn't work. Okay, so check that out. We do have check-ins coming in from all over the world. We've got our friends out in Hawaii. Bill, Kilo Hotel 6 uniform. Hey, Bill, good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Oh,
mahalo.
Got Whiskey Pop-Up 4 Oscar Hotel. Looks like down in Puerto Rico. Very cool. Hey, thanks for joining us from Puerto Rico. Friends up to the north, Victor Echo 3 Yankee X-Ray joining us from Canada. Of course, Roland Delta Golf 1 Golf Hotel Radio joining us from Germany. And Terry down here in New Zealand, ZL1 Hotel Oscar Golf. Let's go ahead and zoom back in on the continental U.S. and see who we've got coming in there from some of these other locations. We've got coming in from Connecticut, Kilo Bravo 1, India Golf Tango. Hey, nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. Whiskey Juliet 3 Oscar Mike coming in from, looks like Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Kilo Golf 4, Echo Delta Yankee down here, Jacksonville, Florida, Kilo Golf 2, Mike. We've got another one down here in Florida, Kilo Oscar 4, Quebec Hotel November. Let's jump around in the country a little bit. Kilo Echo 0 Radio Kilo Mike. Hey, nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. Coming in from Iowa, Kilo Echo 0 Charlie Bravo Victor. Several of our friends over here in Idaho. N7RGS, some folks up here in the Pacific Northwest, Kilo Charlie 7, Kilo India Tango, lots of folks up here in all of you up here in Northern California in that area. I hope you're staying safe with that oak fire that's going just absolutely insane. It's growing really fast.
Terrible fire in Yosemite. Terrible.
Yeah, hopefully you guys are staying safe with that. So all of you, thanks for joining us there. We've got some folks down here in Southern California. Craig, KJ6IJJ, glad to get that question taken care of for you. KI7MKQ. So lots more folks kind of all over, a whole group of folks down here in Texas. Hey, look, KC5LAA, John, we got you on the map this week. Woohoo! Excellent. Love to see that as well. So lots more folks joining in on the map. I will just give one quick shout out to all of our supporters who have been using the Buy Me a Coffee link. I did go through and I tried to clean up the listing. So everybody should just be listed once now at this point. Although if you have sent in some with your name and your call sign separately, you might be listed twice in there as well. But a huge thank you to all of you folks who are supporting us here on WaveTalkers with the Buy Me a Coffee to help us keep all of this infrastructure up and running. With that, let me bring the guys up for one last go around, and then we'll wrap up the live streams, and then we'll go into the after party for those of you who are in the Zoom. Now, if you would like to join us in the Zoom, just go on to wavetalkers.com. Down in the footer, there's a join us button. Go ahead and click on that, fill out the form, and you'll get our weekly email that goes out that has the super secret link that we share out each week that says how to connect with us live in the Zoom. So with that, David, KK60A, what kind of closing thoughts you got for us this week?
It takes a village, brother. And that's what we try to accomplish sometimes here on WaveTalkers. I am one of those stoic male types that will work for hours on a problem that, had I asked someone, I could solve in 30 seconds. And so we're glad we can solve a few small problems for people, and reasonably quickly. Takes a village.
It does take a village. I oftentimes, when I run into those roadblocks, I send a quick text message to these three guys, and I'm like, "Hey, why is this not working?"
Yeah. And the advice is turn it off and turn it back on.
Yeah.
Usually.
You can never lose with that advice.
Dan, NR6B, what's your closing thoughts for today?
I learned some stuff. Bill posted in the chat about how to clear USB reservations that are hidden, and I didn't know how to do that. So,
okay, I will have to
learn
go
that.
back in the chat and find that.
But that implies, if there are reservations for USBs, that implies that you can do that. Maybe only the system can reserve a COM port.
Excellent. We will take a closer look at that. Thanks, Dave. W0DHG.
I think the comment would be just, play around with it, try all the new features, try something you haven't tried before and figure it out. And if you break it, we'll be back with a coffee bar in, a couple of weeks to help you figure it out.
Yeah, pretty much every session, the after party is like the after coffee bar. So once we turn off the live stream, we just invite everybody to just unmute your mics and then ask your questions. Some weeks it goes pretty quick for the after party. Sometimes it's been a couple hours. We've been just one question after another. So definitely thanks everyone for joining us. And as they said, click on, if you see a button, click on it and see what it does. We all end up with blinders on sometimes, and there's that button right at the top of VARA that says monitor, and it's like, well, why would I use a monitor? I already have a monitor. And then you realize later on that, wow, that is like stupid helpful to be able to use that. So thanks, Dan, for teaching me that this
and it appears that monitor on reverts to off every time you transmit. So you may
it does. Yeah, it's only in listening mode. So if you do transmit, it will turn that off.
I did see one tutorial on YouTube on VAR AC where he launched two versions of VARA. One had the monitor turned on, and the other was the regular signal to noise graph. And I thought that was kind of interesting. If you've got double screens, that could be practical. If you're on a single screen, I don't think I'd do that.
Oh, cool. All right, folks, if you are joining us on any of the social media channels, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, thank you so much for joining us. Please be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. It really does help with the algorithm so that the content gets shared around to the interwebs, and more people are able to join us and help support everyone else with emergency communications and ham radio fun. So with that, we will say 7-3 to everyone, and we'll see you again next week. Let's wrap up the live stream here on the different channels. So thanks a lot. 7-3.
Pull a plug on them.
Pulling the plug. Where's the plug? I can't find the plug. There it is.